Hello and welcome again to the aid station. I'm absolutely delighted today to be traveling all the way to France to have a conversation with Pierre Dullevroy, the founder of njuko. Hey Pierre, great to see you. How are you doing?
I'm great. Hi, Chris. Yeah, really great. And thank you for having me. And I've had a blast watching the previous episodes. So I'm really humbled and really happy to be here with you today.
Oh, it's wonderful. You've got an amazing story. I'm inspired by what you've done with njuko, and I'd love to give you the opportunity to start by just telling us a little bit about you and the njuko story, please.
Well, yeah. So it started in 2012 after it spent about 8 years with one of the leading registration provider in our endurance space. And I decided to start my own venture to build something that would be closer to participants' needs and event directors' needs. So when I founded njuko, I wanted it to be the first ever white labeled registration engine in our industry, because I knew that it was critical for event directors, to control their branding. And I wanted to make sure that participants would feel safe, so they wouldn't have to create an account, and the data would never ever be owned by njuko at any time. So we'd never ever do anything with these data except storing them and putting great features around them so that event directors can can work easily with them. And so we started from nothing in 2012 to now a company of slightly more than 20 people. We have offices all around Europe, so France, Italy, the UK, and Germany. And 2.5 years ago, we started our operations in Southeast Asia with an office in Hong Kong, and more recently an office in Singapore. And to give you a quick idea of how, where njuko is today, we are supporting about 4,000 events a year, which is like an event opening every 90 minutes on the platform. And we'll be processing 27 currencies, something like that, in 17 languages. It's totally crazy. Wow. And it's good fun. It's been a lot of fun. Yeah.
Amazing. And you were telling me when we spoke a couple of weeks ago that you went when you kind of really realized the impact of COVID-19, that you'd gone from, I think you were saying something like 15,000 registrations an hour a day to 150. You literally fell off a cliff in the space of 24 hours.
It was insane. Like, yeah, we were training in March. We usually train around, 15,000 reg a day, more or less that. And within 48 hours, it dropped to 150. And we've been stuck at 150 registrations a day since. It's completely crazy. I mean, wow. People just don't sign up anymore. Even if we've got loads of events that are live for September, October, and even November, people just don't feel like signing up, which I totally understand, Yeah. It's not the priority today. And so, but yeah, it was completely mental.
And it's such a reflection of where we are, isn't it? Sorry, interrupt
absolutely.
you. Yeah.
No, that's it. It shows the, it shows the impact of 19 and what we're going through as human beings today. It's just mental.
So talking the human being, I'd love to hear a little bit. Sorry, I interrupted you there. Yeah, no, just talking the human being part. I'd love to hear a little bit about, what's a day for you? You live down in Biarritz on the coast. You're a keen surfer, and you love the outdoors and everything. But what is day to day for you and your team? I know you're a very passionate supporter of your team, and you've got a wonderful team of about 20 that you spoke about. But what's a day in the life of Pierre and your njuko team?
So it's not so much about me, but I'm very privileged. I live in a great area, so I'm surrounded by nature, so I really can't complain, and I'm not really affected by that lockdown. Honestly, it doesn't change a lot, except that I can't surf. But I think there's more important thing on earth than surfing, However, just like you said, I think these days emphasized how anxious I am for my team, as always, because I believe that njuko is a vehicle for the people that join my project to become, better people. When you come at njuko, you will be challenged, but in a very positive way, because I believe that we usually, in Europe, or at least in France, things are made so that you would stay in your comfort zone. So njuko is kind of the opposite of that. I'll challenge you all the time. And that's easy to do when you have someone with you, when you have your team with you at the office. So I'm taking the opposite here, and I'm actually dedicating 30, 45 minutes, sometimes even an hour a day with one of my teammates. So every day I'll call someone in the office, in the team, sorry. And I'll spend some time with them, not to talk about business, but making sure they're doing okay. They've got everything they need, and they go out, because we're only allowed to go out for an hour a day. But I always insist on the fact that they should do it. It's very important, and there's no risk of doing it if you maintain your social distance and stuff. So I'm really emphasizing that part of my management today. I really want to make sure they're going to go through this okay, and also reassuring them about the future, that it may last 4 to 6 months. We'll still be there, and they'll still have a job after that. And I want to make sure they know that. And I'm dealing with this. I don't want them to stress about it. And I want them to, focus on work and do whatever they can, to improve the business. And more than anything, be good human beings, good parents, and, when they have kids and stuff. So that's where, that's where my main focus is as a business owner today.
Wonderful. Really important, and great to hear. And I guess, there must be plenty of challenges, and right now you spoke early on of 15,000 reg a day to 150. I would imagine, like any businesses around the world, cash flow may be a challenge, albeit you were telling me that the government in France has been incredible and supportive. But what would you say some of your biggest challenges are at the moment? Obviously looking after your staff is a priority. It brings challenges with it. But what would be the biggest challenges that hopefully not keeping you awake at night? But what are some of the things that you focus on?
What I'm focusing on is a couple of things. One is how to make that experience as positive as possible from a business standpoint. So where should I put my focus on in terms of product? One of the things that take me a lot of time as well is spending time with event directors on the phone, supporting them, helping them, giving them advice, sharing their knowledge, because njuko is at the crossroad of everything. We get all these events coming at us with all their refunds and cancellations or postponements, but we go further than that, and I try to to tell them what we see on the market, and give them some advice, some data, about how participants behave, and so on. So typically that was one of the things that I noted today for the industry is we did a survey across hundreds of events all around Europe, and we've got so depending on the size and the sports, the number may vary, but we've got about 50 to 60% of participants would ask for a refund today.
Would ask
when
for a
they're
refund.
Given the choice. Yeah,
Right.
They would ask for a refund.
Yeah.
We've got 30 to 35% of them okay with a deferral in the event that the actual race is postponed.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got like 5-6% of people making donations to the events. And I'll come back to that later on. And then we got a small percentage of people just not saying anything. They just don't care. But so the challenge is yes, to support event directors as much as we can, because I think we have that responsibility as a platform that sees a lot of things, and we more than ever we have a responsibility to tell other event directors what was going on, and give them sort of guidance to make the best decisions about their events, because it's the calendar is jam-packed. It's completely crazy. All the races are postponed on the second semester. It's gonna hurt the events that are taking place on the second semester. So it's going to be rough. Like, I think people are going to be scared of running in mass participation events. That's number one.
Yeah, that's certainly one of the themes that we're hearing on our regular strength in numbers calls is like, the fear of participants. Yeah, yeah.
We're very fortunate with the French government, but most people are going to be hurt financially, like big time. So I don't think your priority will be to enter a marathon or even a half marathon, So money will be an issue. Then you've got another factor, which is the lack of training.
Yeah.
People can't train. So how can you commit to anything if you haven't trained for a while,
Totally.
And the last one is just, the calendar congestion. It's going to be mental, like it's completely packed. So it's going to impact the industry for, I think, all of 2020. I mean, all of 2020 is going to be weird in some ways,
Yeah, certainly seems to be the case. Yeah. No doubt. And then suppliers like you caught in the middle, and you've spoken a lot about clearly, partnership with your staff, partnership with the industry, partnership with event organizers. I'm interested in one of the questions I pose is there anything that you've learned about yourself while you've been in this, COVID imposed lockdown that's kind of surprised you?
I'd say one of the things that I find interesting about that situation, that lockdown, is that you spend your life, trying to find a balance in everything that you do, and that balance may come from anything, running, cooking, doing yoga. For myself, it's mostly surfing, traveling, and all of a sudden, you have to adapt because the things that you'd put in place to maintain your balance are gone. And you've got these constraints around you, that you have to adapt to. And while it wasn't really a challenge, I took it as an experience, and I'm actually experimenting new things, at home. Like I'm reading a lot of books on the Zen, and I found out, something that keeps coming back about Zen is that you should sleep when you're tired. You should eat when you're hungry, like fundamental things, right?
Yeah.
These are the things that you can't really do, if you've got your normal life. You've got lunches, you've got dinners with clients, you always have something. And actually, with that lockdown, you can do a lot more introspection than you would usually do. It's a lot easier. So I know it might be a big challenge for a lot of people, but I found that very interesting. And typically my diet has changed, because I'm home every day, all day. I'm like, okay.
Wonderful. That's some great insights. Thank you for sharing that. That's there's many great opportunities that come out of it, and I think a lot of them are personal. Let's talk about, when you talk about opportunities, you're an innovator in the industry. You've done some amazing things with your platform. What are some of the innovations that you've seen that have interested you and inspired you, I guess?
Definitely the virtual races, virtual runs. Both from a technology standpoint, because I'm a geek and I just love that stuff, and I'm always curious about how it functions, but also how it translates to people and how people are actually using them and why they're actually using them. So I don't have any amazing conclusion, to put together today with you, but I'm spending a lot of time on these virtual races, trying to understand the unconscious mechanism behind it and why would people do that. What are the things that work and don't work? Is there any gamification that could be brought into the virtual runs and stuff like that? And I've seen a lot of positive stuff, and the response from athletes has been amazing. So events cannot take place, but we live in a wonderful world because today people are happy apparently to take on virtual races, virtual runs. That's amazing.
It is amazing, isn't it? And it's going to be really interesting. I think, like you say, you're doing lots of research. Many are, fast forward 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, whether they'll still be a part of our life. So that'll be interesting to see. We could talk for hours. It's I always find it fascinating and interesting to talk to you, but the clock's ticking, and I'd love to give you one last question, and that's what inspires you? What's inspiring you on a daily basis? What is there something you've seen in the industry, or something that you take for inspiration? You talk about your personal thing of being more Zen and whatever, but is there one particular inspiring story that you'd love to share with the listeners that we could end off on?
Yeah, as a cup of inspiration, I think I'd like to mention participants' behaviors when they're given the chance to choose between a refund, a deferral, or a donation to the event. And while it's still a small percentage, it shows how great of a community we're in. And it's not just about the participant. It's not just about putting an event together. It's that sense of community. And I'm overwhelmed when I see all these participants donating their registration fees to the small events because they need it to survive. And I found that a wonderful gesture. It reminds us that, sports is fundamental in our lives, and that, we can all make, some small efforts to make sure that we'll have all these great experiences again. So I'd like to thank all the participants for donating their fees to the events, because events are really struggling in these days, and they need all the support they can get. It is not easy to put an event together. It's one of the most challenging things. It is very rewarding, but for that, it needs to happen. So every little helps, and I want to thank participants who do that.
What a great thing to end on. It's so good. Yeah. And look, this is about community. I mean, we will get through this. The world will get through this. The mass participation industry will get through it, and community is coming through strong. Pierre, just so wonderful. Thank you. Great as always to talk. Thanks for your time. Thanks for those wonderful insights. I'm sure the listeners are going to love it. Great to see you. Thank you so much.
Anytime, Chris. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Bye.